Welcome to the game. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Nikco Riesgo. Nikco, how are you?
Russ Cohen, my man.
And Mike Augello, how are you?
Howdy.
All right, let's talk some baseball. So the Mets are out of it. This is why I hate these 3-game series, not because the Mets are out, just because, a lot of good teams get eliminated in short series. So in this series, it was interesting because we saw Buck Showalter get desperate. Nikco with checking Musgrove was desperate. He basically gave up in that game. He didn't pinch hit one player. He didn't do anything. He just let his team get one hit. He didn't even try and have anybody bunt for a base hit. He didn't try and pinch hit for Vogelback, who didn't have a hit in the series. He basically didn't do anything. There's one thing to have faith in your players, but you can't have faith to the point where you're going to go down with the ship.
Absolutely. I don't think they went down hard the last month of the season, and they were just so confused, and they were not ready for playoff ball. And I think I told you about that curse. It's something about that when it comes to the playoffs. It's just not an organization that's built to dominate. And that's exactly what we saw. They were even confused. They didn't even know who to pitch, the starting pitcher. They went with Scherzer, which most teams would have went with Max. But when you've got a guy like DeGrom, who is the Met, who's the franchise in the dynasty, you got to go with your number one.
He did have a blister, though, so they could use that excuse. Whether it mattered or not, who knows?
Who knows? But they looked terrible, and they looked like their future is in bad shape as well.
Yeah, Mike. Billy Epler didn't do much at the deadline. We talked about it. It showed up in these playoffs, and ultimately, Buck didn't have to leave Showalter, didn't have to leave Max Scherzer in for all 4 home runs. Like, he could tell after 2, he wasn't going to have the same stuff, and he had extra starters at his disposal, and some guys never got used. Like Taijuan Walker never got used. Like, it's like, what's the point of having this deep pitching staff if you're not going to use everybody?
Yeah, but when you have a starter like Scherzer, even at less than 100%, you're going to keep him in there until
3 home runs in. What about 3 home runs in?
I know, but I'm just when it's easy with 2020 hindsight. Now, I disagreed with your point of view on the checking Musgrove's ears and everything and whatever during that 6th, I think it was the 6th inning.
Yeah.
You're saying it was desperate.
It was.
They were desperate. They were down 4-0. The guy couldn't. He was getting everybody out. You basically. You don't know for sure whether he was greasing the ball or spider tack or whatever.
Well, he didn't get caught, so
right. But it was. You know what? It was worth a shot.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was because honestly, if the absolute worst, what you could have done is thrown him off. Now, he got pissed off, and he said after the game he got pissed off, and that just motivated him even more. But there are just as many pitchers who would get pissed off and started overthrowing the ball and hitting guys or walking guys, and maybe you get back in the game. I mean, as for the lineup and pinch hitting, I would assume you've put out your best 9 against a guy like Musgrove, and if they don't take Musgrove out of the game, then why are you pinch hitting unless there's somebody in the lineup who shouldn't be in the lineup?
No, I mean, I'm pinch hitting because I got a guy in Vogelback who's not hitting. He only hit like 5 home runs the whole year for the Mets. He gets on base and hits some base hits once in a while, but he's not hitting home runs. Louis Guillorme, who's actually was part of their big run and was a big spark plug, is a lefty, and they could have brought him in just to go lefty righty. Like, at some point you got to try something different when everybody's just going down in flames.
Well, maybe he should have been in the lineup from the first place.
Probably should have been, but that's a whole other thing.
Instead of starting Buffet Vogelbach. I mean, I honestly, now getting away from the series, and you were saying about changes are coming. Well, yeah. I mean, how many free agents do they have? I mean, I think everybody expects DeGrom to opt out and test free agency.
Well, he said he's going to opt out. Like, we know he's opting out.
Now that doesn't mean he's leaving, but
No.
and that might be just a ploy to get more money out of Steve Cohen. But there's a possibility, and they have a number of other free agents. Too many to list. I wonder, Russ. Do they possibly bring Michael Conforto back as a free agent?
I think they might.
Yeah. Do they really go after Judge, or is it just we have to just to cater to our fan base, but we're really
they're
not
going to do that. They're going to throw a dollar figure out there. There's no question about it.
Right.
Whether it works or not, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, but needless to say, I mean, obviously,
and trading for Ohtani, I don't think you want to give up all those assets for 1 year of a guaranteed contract when maybe he wants to play in Seattle or something like that.
Now, the one criticism I do have of them is, and somebody brought this up, you call up Francisco Alvarez, your best prospect, for the last and most important series of the year. Maybe you should have thought about calling him up, say, in August.
Well, definitely. We all were calling for that.
Yeah, and give him an opportunity to get into the swing of things at the major league level and not throw him in to the fire pit against the Atlanta Braves, which it was just that's not on. I don't know if that's on Buck. That might be on Epler, but
I'll give you that may be on Epler. But Buck could always force the hand on that. But Nico, here is the other part. Buck had made a quote that he didn't start or even play Alvarez against Blake Snell because he thought he might take advantage of the kid. And I'm thinking the worst he could take advantage of him is if he strikes out 4 times. Like, that's the only advantage he could take of him. Otherwise, why wouldn't you have him in there and hope that you get some output from the catcher position that they've been getting no output from, or at least the DH, where they've been getting little output from?
Absolutely. And the youth is the future of the Mets, and the rock and the foundation, what he brings to that organization, what he brings to the game. I mean, it's priceless. And for Buck Showalter not to even be aware of that in the biggest game of obviously the Mets.
He had one at bat in the whole series.
No, he should have been starting from day one. Okay, he should have been the guy. He should have been the starter. They should have known day one. The fact that they brought him in the last games or so, this last series, give him a couple warm up at bats. But he is our future, and he should have been on full display from the moment Scherzer was on that mound. And they were mixed up. You could tell. I mean, they knew they didn't have the best team on the field. Buck Showalter is not the manager to lead them to the World Series. It was obvious, and they need to make some changes. And my phone number has still been the same, and they know they can call me if they want to win the World Series.
Well, they're not going to make those changes. They're going to stay with Buck at least for another year. Maybe
Buck's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So,
but they might bring in another president. But the only problem with that is Sandy's still going to have an office, and so you kind of wonder what that might do. Okay, so we switch off of that. So the Braves, who haven't played in a while, took a little while to get some offense going. They lost to the Phillies 7-6. Travis d'Arnaud, who hit a homer in the first inning, also struck out with the bases loaded a few innings later. I don't know, Nico. I mean, the Phillies are scrappy. They certainly, there's big gaps where you could catch up in a Phillies game, getting into their bullpen, having them, miscue on a fielding play that should be an automatic out. Those kinds of things. So there's always opportunities for the other team to catch up. And, clearly the Braves did. And Castellanos made a really nice catch in the ninth to help them preserve the win. But, again, it turned into a nail biter. So I kind of wonder, is this now the Braves sort of turning it back on? Like, okay, we're a little rusty. Now we're sort of feeling it.
That's right. They were a little rusty, and the Phillies did exactly what you could possibly want to do as an organization. They didn't complain about their position in the wild card. They just came on the road and they just scrapped and they got dirty and they spit it out and they grinded it out in St. Louis. And then they came right away and got the early lead and really shocked the Braves here. Suarez just did a phenomenal job. And who'd have think that Suarez would have stepped up against the world champions like that and just
that was big. I was questioning that. I was questioning that.
He out-pitched Fried, and then now they still got Nola and they still got Wheeler coming. I'm telling you, those Phillies are in a great position to actually win the whole thing.
Well, we'll see.
Well,
There's a lot
I
of
don't know about
rounds.
I don't know about the whole thing, but
There's
they
a
have
lot of
chance.
rounds, man.
Yeah, they have a chance to beat the Braves, which I wouldn't have given them much of a chance to. I mean, one of the things I think we have to factor in is that, these teams that have had the layoff of a week, they're going to start out of the gate slow. And
Yeah.
Atlanta was down, I think 7-1,
Yep.
and they came back to make it 7-6
It was
before
7-3.
losing.
It was 7-3.
7-3. Thank you. 7. And it was Seattle was up, I think 7-1, and right now it's 7-5 in the ninth inning with 2 guys on, and Alvarez up, and Alvarez just hit it out. So, against Robbie Ray, they bring in Robbie Ray in relief,
who's not a reliever.
And they go lefty, and you take out, this is the stupidity of certain managers. You take out your closer.
Yeah.
You take out your closer.
You're supposed to die with your closer. You are.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is, and of course this irks me because, this group of cheaters, they probably, if they win this series, and this is a nice cherry on top of the sundae to get a 1-0 lead when you're down as much as they are. The Yankees can't win a game in Houston, so this dumb managing by Seattle, really bad.
Yeah, bad move, Nico. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Seattle had that game. If they lost that game in the ninth inning on Robbie Ray, oh, come on now. He's a starter. He should be resting up for his start here for probably maybe game 4 or something like that.
It's his throw day. That's why they did it. But Nico, I wanted to ask you this because similar to this game 2 in Seattle, Toronto, where the Blue Jays are up 8-1 in the 5th inning. And I turned the game off and then came back into the room and it was 9-9. And I don't know how an organization gets past that, because that is something that, I don't think you can recover from. You have an interim manager. I guess they're going to bring him back. You've got a lineup that's really talented, but I'm telling you, I think that's a franchise killer, that loss for the Blue Jays.
It's demoralizing. And then Springer went out with that bang collision. I mean,
yeah, that was bad too.
They're having some problems. I mean, the year that they had this year, this was their year. They had to beat Seattle, and they couldn't at home. So they've got some big challenges ahead.
Well, we do give credit to Seattle. Like, they are reimagined. They're doing much better. Rodriguez is a hell of a player. So they're going to have more moments. But yeah, this is one they kind of gave it away. But, we call these now high leverage games, Mike, but these were always pressure games. And weird things happen when teams are under pressure. Managers have problems. Players have problems. All of a sudden, the ball goes under your glove. One of the most famous instances of that was with Mike Andrews in the 73 World Series. The ball went under his glove twice. Charlie Finley.
Tanner. Oh,
no,
Charlie.
No. Charlie
Chuck
Finley. Charlie Finley, the owner, tried to take him off the roster and put in Manny Trio, who was not on the roster. And Bowie Kuhn stopped that move because he didn't want Mike Andrews to ever play again because he had 2 balls go between his legs in the World Series. I don't know. Do you remember that, Nico? In 73?
No, that's a little bit before my time. You guys are aging.
Yeah.
I was 6, Russ, so I missed that one.
Yeah, I was 10. I was really into it. I get it, but those are the kinds of things. Obviously Bill Buckner, even McNamara at that time in '86, basically saying, "Well, I want Buckner to be on the field to celebrate instead of having in, I don't know, I think it was Dave Stapleton or somebody who could have played."
Yeah, Dave Stapleton.
Yeah, who could have been a much better fielding first baseman, but he wanted the old guy out there, and then he got stuck with the old guy out there, and then it turns the series. Like, that's how baseball is, Nico. And it only takes a couple of moments. And, like you said, with the Phillies, when they came back and all of a sudden the ball's going under Arenado's glove, I was like, boy, they're mentally in trouble, that team. And they were. The Cardinals just got fleeced.
They did. And then the Phillies got out of there with 2 quick wins, really sneaky. I think they were both 1-run games, really, really close games. And then obviously they exploded today. And like I said, their offense and their pitching, the way they're playing the game. And you got to give Dave Dombrowski a lot of credit because you look at what he's done and you look at what the Mets have done. And the Mets have obviously had all the money. They had an open checkbook. And the Phillies are still.
The Phillies opened their checkbook again, too. They're probably fifth in spending. Let's not act like they're doing it.
Romoldo, and I remember the Mets had a chance to get him and turn that down, and you can see where he's at today.
No question. I mean, they took McCann in a cost-cutting measure over it. I wanted Realmuto, but I get it. I mean, Dombrowski has done a good job. He has traded away some talent already, though. And if they don't win this year, he's going to trade away more talent. But
that's the book on Dombrowski. He's destroyed franchises in Florida.
If he doesn't
Detroit. Yeah, if you don't know, he gets them to a certain point. I mean, he won with the Marlins. Yep. He won to a point with the Tigers. He got them to the World Series. He got Boston to a certain point, but the long-term effects on a franchise, he's a franchise killer. He trades all their prospects, and then
right now he could win right now. Okay, you're thinking about later in the future or whatever. I'm talking about right now. The Phillies, when you look at that offense and you look at what Dombrowski has did, look at the players he brought in. Nick Castellanos, he's not just a regular player. This guy is a serious baller. When you're talking about 2 outs or 2 strikes on it, who else would you rather have up the bat?
Hold on. You realize
these are hitters. Schwarber, these are players.
Schwarber's a really good hitter. Harper's great. You realize Castellanos had a bad year, and that was his first 3 RBI game as a Philly. His first.
I'm not Nico. I'm not disputing.
Wait a
second.
This is what's in it.
Right. What I'm saying is, great. He's brought in all this talent, and if he doesn't win, he's destroyed the franchise. That you take a risk with any team trading off some of your prospects, but one of the things that you don't do is trade all of them. We've seen in hockey, we've seen in football, you trade a lot of draft picks for one player, you trade a lot of your prospects for 1 or 2 players, and if you don't win, you're trying to recover for 4 or 5 years, and that's the risk that the Phillies are taking. They could win with Castellanos and Schwarber and Harper and all the guys that they brought in, but if they don't, then they've wasted a lot of assets for nothing.
Well, I don't think it's going to be for nothing because right now, what I've seen, they're the favorites to win.
No, they're not. They're not the favorite.
They're not.
They have a chance.
My God.
What we've seen so far out of the games, out of the playoffs, out of all the teams.
Well, arguably
you go tell the Braves they're the favorite. They only lost by a run.
Arguably, the two best teams in the playoffs haven't played an inning yet. The Dodgers and the Yankees, or at least 2 of the 3 or 4.
They did beat the champions. So right now at this point, since beating the champions, they're the team to beat.
I get it, but Zach Eflin also gave up 3 runs in the 9th and also had to have a game-saving catch to come away with that win. Like, we got to wait on that.
They beat the champions 1 game. It's a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, it's all they need, baby. 1 game at a time. And let me tell you this right now.
This isn't a boxing match.
On that board, on that World Series board to win it.
It's a best of 1 series in Nico's mind, but continue.
Yeah, this isn't
game by game. That's how you have to play it.
It's not a boxing match, and they threw a one-time haymaker. We'll see. We'll see what
win every game.
Now, Russ, let me just touch on because I watched a lot of Cleveland and Tampa because that was the team that the Yankees were going to play, and I have to say this. Cleveland. Bieber had an excellent start in Game 1. They got good pitching out of I think it's McKenzie was the second game starter. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you only score 3 runs and win a series, that calls in and the Tampa's pitching staff, but Tampa had absolutely no offense.
Yeah.
And it's like when you go 15 innings and it's 1-0. I mean, neither team had an offense. But what I'm saying here is that Tampa was challenged offensively all this time this year. They didn't have like Austin Meadows hitting 30 home runs or Wander Franco having a great year because he was hurt most of the time. They struggled offensively, and it was really illustrated in that series. Now Cleveland isn't exactly the 2070 Yankees either, and I'm not saying the Yankees are going to sweep them, but I would be shocked if the Yankees don't win that series because Cleveland doesn't have a lot of offense. Their pitching is
No,
good,
their
but
defense
they
is
don't have a
good
lot of.
too.
Yes, their defense is good.
Let
I
me tell
mean,
you what Cleveland has. Let me tell you this. I do predict Cleveland to win tonight, to beat Cole, to show the world that they are the team that has a chance to win this World Series in the American League. They've got a guy named Jose Ramirez, and this guy, with
oh, he's
without a
great.
doubt, only Judge is probably better than him, and he should be in a Yankee uniform. But the Indians haven't been able to let him go, and they're going to try to keep him
He's
somehow.
not better than Ohtani, but anyhow.
Yeah, please, Russ. There must be something with the podcast that. There must be something with the podcast that we do because every time we do a podcast, there's somebody who's like Mr. Counterintuitive, who's like who always picks like the most long shot. You know, I'm waiting for
Nico's he's got his reasons.
I love Nikco, but it's like I'm waiting for him to pick the Padres against the Dodgers next.
The Indians have a guy named Terry Francona in the dugout.
He's a great manager, no question.
Yes,
great
he's
manager.
got the magic up his sleeves. And tonight we're going to see some young players, some dynamic players that the Mets gave away, and we're going to see them in action today. They've got a great defensive team. They play small ball. And they win games.
But they did play too small. They didn't have any runs. But look, I'm a big Andre Jimenez fan, and I love Rosario. But Lindor has panned out for the Mets. But I did try and tell fans of the Indians, especially a good friend of mine, that you did get value here. These guys can play, and they definitely could play. The only way they are going to win, though, is to outpitch the Yankees, outdefend them, and not give up a lot of homers. That it's tough. I'm going to root for Cleveland because I simply want to root against the Yankees anyhow.
I'm shocked. No, but okay, let me just like as a thumbnail sketch of this series because Cleveland is very good defensively. I think their rotation is close to being as good as the Yankees, where Cleveland has the advantages of the bullpen. Clase is one of the better closers in baseball, and right now the Yankees. They're not sure if they have a closer. Clay Holmes just came off the IL. That moron, Aroldis Chapman.
Aroldis Chapman's an idiot.
Well, Aroldis Chapman will never pitch for the Yankees again, especially after they leave Texas at the end of the series and they allow some of the players to go their separate ways for a day or two until they want them back in New York for a mandatory meeting. And Chapman asks them, am I going to be on the playoff roster? And they say, well, we don't know yet. And he says, well, if I don't know for sure, I'm not coming. Okay, well, you know what? You're done. And, it's like But
here's the other thing. There is a flip side to this. Clearly, things have been getting rocky between Chapman and the Yankees for months and months. And correct. I think Cashman had let it go too long and probably should have gotten rid of him way before this ever happened. You know what I mean? Like, this has been building.
Blame Chapman to win the World Series this year. And whatever games he's playing, play it after the season with him. The Yankees need Chapman to win the World Series. And
he's been injured, though.
He's okay. See, this is the problem, Nikco. What happened was he got hurt, and I think it was May. Clay Holmes was the de facto closer and was one of the best closers in the league up until the All-Star break. Then I think they wore him out a little bit because then he dropped off a little bit. But Chapman came off the IL, and he expected them to give him the closer job back, and they're like, no, because Holmes is pitching great.
Proven and got the rings, and he is proven to get in there in those situations and win the World Series for the Yankees. He's the main guy, and to have him, Holmes, that's what they needed. It's bad management. Someone's got to go with the Yankees. Some management, I think.
What is he proven? He gave up a game-tying home run to Rajai Davis in the series against the Cubs, and he gave up the home run to Altuve in the AL.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sure. As he ripped the buzzer off his chest, you were. Yes, but this is the thing. It's like, okay, the Yankees are beatable in this series. LeMahieu has been hurt for like the last 6 weeks. He was left off the playoff roster. Their trade deadline acquisition, Frankie Montas, is out, so he's not part of the rotation. They've got guys in the bullpen that they're going to be asking to potentially close, like starters, like Tyone and Domingo
But they have Garrett
Germán.
Cole. He has to win twice in this series. He does.
Yeah, I mean it's big. It's big. He has to show up big, like the big starter. That he's being
That he says he is, which he's been at times, but he hasn't really done it yet.
I think some tears tonight. We're going to see some tears, and he may even destroy the water tanks tonight. He's going to go off somehow because
he's
those
not Paul O'Neill. He's not Paul O'Neill. The Gatorade container is not in danger at Yankee Stadium, but Russ, there may be a secret here, because the rumor is that Derek Jeter may throw out the ball for the. So is this going to be like a Kate Smith type of thing, or
could
all
be.
Of a sudden Derek Jeter is in the fold for the Yankees, and
I don't know. Bobby Ojeda threw it out for the Mets. They lost game 1, so I don't know.
Hello, Jeter, the new GM. We got a new man in town.
Well, I honestly, if they lose to Cleveland, you may see changes. If they beat Cleveland and go to the ALCS,
they'll be happy with that, whether they win or lose.
I don't think Cashman is in danger. I don't think Boone will be in danger. And
honestly, I don't think the Steinbrenner brothers want to put enough effort in to find somebody else other than Cashman. That's really what it seems like to me.
No,
they will lose to the Guardians. They will.
Okay, well, let's talk about Dodgers Padres.
Yeah. So Dodgers Padres. I mean, the Padres put a hurting on the Mets, and look, their top 3 starters are very good, but the Dodgers have like 5 great starters. Tyler Anderson will go game 3, which I think is a big edge. Kershaw in game 2 is a big edge. I don't know. I mean, the Padres hit probably better against the Mets than they'll hit against the Dodgers, but I'm sure they'll do okay. But the Dodgers lineup's crazy. You got Justin Turner, who's got 13 postseason homers. Freddie Freeman is really good. He's hitting this stride. He's a postseason player, especially last year. So no reason to think he's not gonna. I mean, I don't know, Nico. This is a very tall order. I only have the Padres winning 1 game in this series.
Well, I think you're going to be surprised, and I think the Padres tonight.
So every underdog's going to win. Is that what you're telling me now? Every goddamn underdog is winning. That's what you're telling me.
Game is about. The Dodgers couldn't have asked for worse opponents to start this off. Okay, the Padres hate the Dodgers, and they would love nothing more to just come down and shove it right in their face. Okay, now the Dodgers are the best team in the league. 1-1-1. They've won 111 games on the year, the best they've ever done. And again, this layoff here, not seeing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs for like 10, 12, 2 weeks, that's going to take a toll.
Okay, I'll give you game 1 for the Padres. What are they getting? 3 hits off of Kershaw, maybe?
No.
Yeah.
Done. We'll see. Kershaw's done. And
He's not done.
Kershaw.
That mound in Dodger Stadium is going to be 15 feet high when he's pitching.
We'll see.
He's going to be pitching from the top of the CN Tower. But no, this is the thing. I mean, I would feel a lot more comfortable picking the Dodgers if Walker Buehler was in the rotation, if Gonsolin, who was their best starter, had just not come off the IL just before the end of the season.
It's still pretty strong, though, if you look what they have.
Yeah, their bullpen is pretty good. Their rotation is, Anderson, was their 4th starter and has been fantastic. Kershaw was lights out for after coming back off the injured list, and I think they might have put him on there just to get a little.
He was getting rest. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. Now this is the thing, and this is completely separate from any like sort of non-emotional analysis of this series. In watching the Padres Mets series, I have to tell you that there may not be a more unlikable player than Manny Machado. He's a great player. Yeah. He's extremely talented. He's clutch. He's a great fielder, a really good hitter, but he's also a dick. He's a jerk. and the styling and profiling that he did against the Mets, I would love to see. And this is not the game anymore, Nico, I know, but you know what? If he does the same thing against the Dodgers, I would hope Clayton Kershaw puts one in his ear. It won't happen. That's not the way the game is played anymore. But I honestly, I cannot take the bat flipping, the jerk act that a lot of these players are playing
he
nowadays.
Shakes his head at every pitch too. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
right, and it's like, it's really just crap. And
but his play at third base is the best in baseball. Like the arm he's got is insane.
He's a phenomenal fielder. He's a great talent, but I just wish it would come in a package with somebody with class, because he doesn't act with class. He's a jerk.
Well, he is the leader of the Padres, and what he's doing is he's doing all this without a guy named Tatis. So give him a lot of credit. So he's like Machado and Tatis in one. He's given the fans so much flavor, and you're going to see it again tonight, because I'm telling you, the Padres are playing small ball. They've got a manager, not just any ordinary manager. They've got Melvin, who knows how to play small ball, who knows how to win those close games.
He's never won anything either.
And he is here for tonight. This is why Bob Melvin and the Padres are here.
Russ, this is the thing. I mean, if the Padres get production out of the bottom of their lineup like they did with Grisham and Nola and guys like that getting clutch hits, then they might have a chance against the Dodgers. But I just don't know whether they can keep it up. I mean, obviously they need Soto to hit, they need Machado to hit, they need Will Myers to hit. Profar is your leadoff guy, but their lineup can't match up with the Dodgers. No, but the Dodgers have to hit. They have to get hitting from the bottom of their lineup. Guys like Gavin Lux. But if you just on paper, it looks like a mismatch. But we know that the game is not played on paper.
Nico, end of the day, like should I say the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win it all in the NBA? Like, is that where we're at for this show?
No.
Sacramento.
Well, someone like maybe Minnesota.
Oh my God, that's it.
With A-Rod or something like that,
End the show now.
I'm ending the show. That's it. Thanks for everybody for listening, and thanks for tuning into the game.
My man.
Bye.